Now, veterans, when you were needed most, you donned the uniform of this country, and you accepted the challenge, and you acted on the beliefs that we hold dearly as Americans, and the beliefs that our forefathers held. And the fact is that there are some things worth fighting for, and unfortunately there are some things worth dying for. But you never faulted in your willingness to make that sacrifice for your country. And looking out here, I see men and women who have accepted that challenge and accepted that call. And I see those families that supported them. And it's true that here in America, we have the tenacity to win any battle that we get involved in. But my concern is that when I came home from the war, was that the reality of the war on terror was not being told to the American public. There are great things going on in Iraq and in Afghanistan, but this is nothing new, because anytime America has been engaged in combat, you've had those troops who've been willing to make those sacrifices for civilians and friends alike. And I want to tell you a little story just as an example, so you know what's going on in Iraq and in Afghanistan. Now, when I got into Afghanistan, the war had just begun. I got in very early on the fight. And, my job as a Special Forces officer is to go out and take down the enemy. That's my primary mission. But one thing occurred that changed my life forever. And that was, next to our compound, there's a little village called Polycharki. And in Polycharki, they were trying to rebuild their school. Taliban did not want the populace to be educated, and they'd come in and completely destroyed that school. They burned the books, the furniture, broken out all the windows, burned the doors, shot holes through the wall. There's literally nothing there but a concrete shell. And the chaplain came to me and goes, "Diggs, can you help me rebuild this school?" And of course I said, "I can help you." So the chaplain and I went over to the village elders and had the conversation with them that we're here to help you. And of course, at the very beginning, they were reluctant to accept our help. They said, "You're going to be just like the Russians. You're going to come in and you're going to leave, and Taliban will come back and destroy the village." And we assured them, "No, we are Americans, and we are committed to liberating your country and freeing you from oppression." So sure enough, next week the chaplain and I began going to school and teaching English to the boys. Girls were not allowed to go to school under Taliban. At this point, they still weren't allowed to go to school. And the thing that changed my life was one day I'm teaching class to all these boys, and I look through the window, and there's a little girl, 11-year-old Farista. She's looking in the window and listening, and she wants to go to school. She wants to become a part of society again. And of course, under the rule of the land at that point in time, she could not. But the chaplain and I went to the village elders and we said, "Listen, girls have to be able to go to school." "Oh, no, girls cannot go to school. Girls cannot go to school." We said, "No, it's important. They're part of your society." And so after a couple weeks of haggling with the village elders, they finally said, "Okay, girls could go to school. Girls could go to school, but you men, you cannot teach them. Only a woman can teach them." Well, the Afghani village elders did not realize that we had female military police with us. So the next week when we showed up, we had our females with us, and the girls got to go to school. And I got to tell you, talk about changing generations and generations into the future. The girls got to go to school. They got to be educated. They didn't have to wear their burqas anymore. And this is part of the liberation, the good news story that you people are not hearing about from our press back home. Now, another funny thing, that was 4 years ago. And everybody here uses the internet. Well, about a month ago, I got an email from somebody. I was like, "Gosh, who's this?" And I started reading the email, and it was my interpreter emailing me from Afghanistan. So I wrote back and said, "How is the school? What's going on there?" And he said, "The school's been totally rebuilt. We have electricity. We've received books from the Americans. Americans have been sending books, school supplies, computers. We have the second highest educated student in all of Afghanistan in computer literacy." And I was like, "Great, wow, great." And then I emailed back and said, "Well, Tim, how did you find me?" And he wrote back, no computer back, said, "Google." So we've gone from the Stone Age to bringing the Afghanis into the 21st century. And that's the story you are not hearing from our media here. And Sergeant Lee Cooper is here somewhere. Where are you, Lee? There he is right there. Lee Cooper. Excellent. Can I put up here? Lee Cooper was in Iraq, and he did the same thing there. He rebuilt a school in Iraq. And this is nothing new. Like I say, my father was in Iraq during World War II, and he rebuilt a school. So this is just something that American troops do. We're known for doing it. We're the most compassionate troops on the planet, and we're more willing to share that with the people in these countries that we're liberating. So, in closing, I just want to tell you thank you for supporting the troops. The mission cannot be accomplished without your support, and that's why we're here today. Thank you so much for attending.